Hello, everybody. Josh Neighbors here. This is the College Countdown on the Rogue Media Networks. Glad to have you alongside with us. It is Thursday, January 23rd, 2024, 2025. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave us your comments. We'll be soliciting questions now for what you guys want show topics to be now that we're in the off season for football. We are going to do some basketball coverage. I'll talk about that later today, but send me your ideas. I will do full shows on anything you all comment, but make sure you guys subscribe and then comment as well, like the videos, all that stuff. At CC Podcast JN on Twitter. I'm at Josh Neighbors _. So on today's show, what we are tackling is this. The college football playoff rating for television was down. We're going to ask why we think that is, if we can find a reason as to why. I've got a few of them. Love to know what you all think as well. Once again, you guys can leave your comments also at Josh Neighbors _ at CC Podcast JN and in the comment section too. But I think that's something interesting that we should tackle here. I've got a few other news and notes kind of as we go along, the way. But why were the ratings down? And I like tackling big picture issues like that, whether it's conference realignment, television ratings, why the decision makers make decisions that they do. And so I think this is an interesting test case. So first thing we have to answer is, all right, what were the ratings? That we go to ESPN.com, who's got the Associated Press printed there. Ohio State's 34-23 victory over Notre Dame in the CFP National Championship game was the most watched game of the season. However, it was a double-digit drop in viewers from last year. ESPN announced Wednesday that the Buckeyes' second national championship in the CFP era averaged 22.1 million viewers. It was the most watched non-NFL sporting event over the past year, but it was a 12% drop from the 25 million who tuned in for Michigan's 34-13 victory over Washington in 2024. It's the third lowest audience of the 11 CFP title games, with all three occurring in the past 5 years. The audience peaked at 26.1 million viewers during the second quarter, and when the score was tied at 7. Since Alabama's 26-23 victory over Georgia in 2018, the past 7 title games have had an average margin of 25.4 points. Ohio State had a 31-7 lead midway through the third quarter before Notre Dame rallied to get within one possession with 5 minutes remaining in the fourth. Georgia's 65-7 rout of TCU was the least viewed title game at 17.2, followed by Alabama's 52-24 victory over Ohio State in 2021. That was 18.7 million. The first title game in 2015, which was the Buckeyes' 42-20 victory over Oregon, remains the most watched college football game. That was at 33.9. Here are the numbers throughout the playoffs. The first round averaged 10.6 million viewers. Quarterfinals were at 16.9. The semifinals were at 19.2, and then, which is a 17% decline from last year. Both semifinal games 2024 were played on January 1st. Michigan's OT victory over Alabama was 27.7, which was more than the title game. So 9 of the 10 highest rated games this year were playoff games. Georgia's OT win over Texas in the SEC championship on ABC was 6th at 16.6 million. So from a television standpoint, a television perspective, this is a massive success. And why is it a massive success? Because the last 10 sporting events, the 10 highest or 9 of the 10 highest rated games were all CFP games, as it should be. But if your playoff and your championship is rating extremely high, and the only thing that beat it were 2 teams that were in that playoff in a conference championship game, or that figured in there, I should say, Georgia and Texas, you should feel pretty good about the product you put out there. It did its job. It rated very, very well. Now, for the semifinals and for the finals, the way you have to look at it is, sure, those ratings are down, but a couple things necessitated that. You moved a few of the games. You moved really 3 of them. I mean, got moved, from the semifinals and the championship. I know it's always on Mondays, but you move them back. And also you've got other games that rated well. So while those might not have rated as well as they did before, if you're doing 10 plus million viewers on a game, which is extremely high and really, really good, and I'm sure advertisers love that. And you've got more games and you still feel pretty good about that television product, right? So it's, you're getting more of the games. Yes, they're not rating as highly, but they're still rating high enough. And once again, I'm wondering if there's something to do with the fatigue. We'll do that in 1 second, football fatigue, but I don't really think that's true. But the other part of this is the litany of things that I think cost this game. The number one thing I think, I don't know for sure, but I think was the fact that the inauguration was that day. That's an all-day TV event. And 24 million people watched this inauguration. I believe Joe Biden's was at 33 and Donald Trump's first one was at 30. And once again, this is not a political statement. I just think anytime there's an event on TV where a lot of people are watching over the course of the day, you might do it at the cost of another TV event. So I think that might be number one. I don't know if that's true. And I'm not sure about that, but I mean, there was, it's a president being inaugurated, so it's a huge event, right? So I think there is part of that too. And actually somebody joked to me about this as the reason why. And at first I was like, are you sure? Then I thought about it. I was like, yeah, I mean, that's probably a pretty good thing. Made a good comparison. People love the SEC. People hate the SEC. It just means more. People want to see the SEC, their fans want to see certain teams win. And also there's a lot of folks out there who want to watch Southeastern Conference teams lose. There's a lot of people out there who like watching SEC teams lose. They have SEC fatigue, I feel like. So not having those states represented, not having those schools represented, in my opinion at least, probably ended up hurting the ratings. I genuinely believe that. I think that definitely had something to do with it, right? Notre Dame, Ohio State are two big brands and semi-hateable, yes, but the SEC has got, I think just something about it, right? And this is the first time that back-to-back Big Ten teams have won national championships in God knows how long. The third thing that I would posit to you all as a reason why is I think there could be some football fatigue. You had 4 fun, exciting divisional round games that weekend, the 2 previous days. And then on a Monday night, you're going to have a championship. I think also on the day of inauguration day, too. But you've just been watching football all weekend long. And now you go to a championship game, and especially if it starts out slow, you're going to lose some viewership. People are not going to be as invested as they were if it kept on rolling, kept on going. So I think that's something that's very important to note as well, that there's a pretty good chance that there might have been some fatigue there. I think it's some combination of those 3 factors. Once again, I think number one, the big thing is that the inauguration of the big TV event that was that day. Number 2, the SEC was not involved. Number 3, there might have been some football fatigue. I think it's some combination of those. But to go back to my original point, overall, I feel like there is a silver lining of your TV executive was that all the games did well enough ratings wise to be like, great, this is having the desired impact, the desired outcome that we wanted with how we wanted this to look. So I would say that this is right on track, I think, for where they would like to be. I think this is definitely right on track for where the TV companies like this thing to be, but there were ratings down. And I think you may point at the factors. And I think one issue I'm also having is that in college football, college sports in general now, we are so quick to want to change things. People are so quick to want to move on 12 to 14 teams. We got to go back to this format. We have to put these games here. We have conference realignment. We've changed everything immediately. And I think we need one more year of information on a 12-team playoff to see what it looks like again before we make any massive declarations about what the future of the college football playoff should look like and when games should be and how we should make them look and all that kind of stuff. I think we need some more time before we make any big decisions about the future of that. I would give it at least one more year on that front. That's just me. Want to note this as well about the game itself. And it's about coaching in general. Like sometimes the fans, we can be somewhat smart. The going for it. I mean, we have to get this out of the sport. This will be a side tangent here, but I mean, it's, we got the time. It's my show. We got to figure out what in the hell we are doing as a coach. as coach is. This is not an analytics thing. When Notre Dame has the ball in the fourth quarter and they decide to kick a field goal to go from 16 to 13, that is ridiculous. Because, and they missed it, by the way, too. If you go from 13 to 10, right, you made a two-score game, but still, at least you only need a touchdown in the field goal. I can buy that. I don't love it, but I can buy it. If you cut a 16-point game to a 13-point game, previously, you had needed 2 touchdowns at 16, right? 2 touchdowns, 2-point conversions. If you cut the lead to 13, you still need 2 touchdowns. It is not that hard. Why do coaches continually make this harder than it has to be on themselves? It makes no sense. It's the same thing as during the bowl game that Pitt and Toledo played in, whatever it is now, bowl in Detroit. 40-37 game in double overtime. You're at the 1-yard line. The decision is this. Do you kick a field goal to tie it and then go to have to get a stop and then score from the 3, or go for it from the 1-yard line and try and win the game? So here are the options. 1 play from the 1 to win, go for it. Or kick, get a stop, and score from the 3. And it's like, this is not analytics. This is just math. Why would you need 2 more challenging plays, ostensibly, and pick that over 1 simple play? What is the calculus there? What has caused you to make that decision? It is ridiculous, and how it keeps happening is beyond me. I've got no idea at this point anymore why coaches make these decisions. This offseason, we have to have a serious conversation about reevaluating how we do this stuff, because like Marcus Freeman looked really good game plan wise and everything like that. And these guys, and I think Pat Narduzzi's been a good coach for a long time, but like, man, I mean, we got to figure this stuff out, coaches, because they just keep doing this stuff over and over and over again. All right. So a couple of quick thoughts here about hoop season. I just want to know what you guys want out of your basketball coverage. I'm going to cover some big picture things, probably tie in basketball, how it relates to sports. Basketball is my best sport. I know X's and O's wise, but like, not always people want the breakdowns, unless you guys want me to do basketball breakdowns and, share my screen and show some tape and break stuff down that way. We can do that. But I want you all to tell me what you guys want out of your basketball coverage. So let me know on that front. Like the podcast, find us on Twitter at CC Podcast JN. I'm at Josh Neighbors _ Like the video, sub to the channel, leave your comments. I want your show ideas, all that stuff. And we'll be back on Friday to wrap up the week and kind of look back on some things as we head to the off season. All right, folks, talk to you all mañana.
We are Rogue Media Sports.